as they come
Yeah,
into the
that's why.
room. Brilliant. Thank you.
Perfect.
Are we good to go?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone, to JCI's first online European conference 2020. I'll be your host for emceeing for a portion of this afternoon. My name is Teresa Cahill, and I'm a JCI Dublin member, and I'm delighted to be here with you today. So I'll explain a little bit and introduce Eric in a moment, but I'll just let you know what else is running for the rest of today. It's absolutely fun-filled day, all in. So after this session, we'll be moving into Leading the Change in Turbulent Times, a session from Andrew Ford. Then we'll have time away to get ready for the opening ceremony, so a little time to doll up if you want to do that. We'll open with the opening ceremony. Following that, we'll have an opportunity to look at whiskey cocktail making, and then we'll round off the evening, which no doubt will not be a quiet rounding off, with DJ Martin Jensen. So for now, what I'd be delighted to do is to introduce you to Eric Fitzpatrick, who is going to speak to us on the engagement principle, and I leave the explanation to him because he will do it more justice than I will. So next we have international speaker and author who's going to be talking to us about the principles of engagement. Our speaker has spent the last 10 years showing organizations how to increase their ability to engage with their clients. And for most of that time, he's been a very good friend to JCI, and I hope a lot of you recognize him here today. So please welcome the business storytelling expert, Eric Fitzpatrick. Thank you.
What went through your mind for those 15 seconds of silence? From the time the image came up on the screen, the first thought was, who is that? To suddenly realizing who it is, and then wondering why it was there, and then very quickly moving on to, and particularly in the case of Teresa Cow, who just introduced me, going, why isn't he speaking? Why isn't Eric talking? And all that happened was that you were introduced to something that stopped you thinking about what you were expecting to hear. And over the next couple of hours, what I'm going to talk about is the principles of engagement and how we can use that to disrupt our audience, how we can use it to get people to become more open to taking on board our ideas. And I'm going to do this from two perspectives. First of all, from the perspective of, I'm going to call it employee engagement, but I'm going to focus on JCI and ask you to think about it from a JCI perspective, because one of the challenges, two of the challenges that you have in JCI is, one, being able to attract members, and two, being able to retain members. So some of what we're going to talk about here today might be able to give you ideas about how you can meet the challenge of doing those two things. And then on top of that, I'm going to talk about what I call the 4 C's of engagement. And this will be, and the way I phrase it is, when you are looking to engage somebody, in essence, you're trying to disrupt their thinking. With respect, everybody has so many going on in their lives that are so much more important than what we're going to talk about. And our job is, how do we stop them thinking about that? And I'm going to share those 4 C's as a way in which we can do it. This next couple of hours is going to be very, very interactive. I'm going to make it lighthearted because it's a Friday afternoon. It's 3 o'clock in Central Europe. And as I said, I'm going to draw you in. I'm going to have you get very heavily involved in what we're going to do. So we are talking about the principles of engagement. And before I continue, can I just say, I just want to make sure that everybody's in the right room. Many, many years ago, Melanie, I was down in Cork. I was delivering a day's training on presentations. It started at 9 o'clock in the morning. A guy turned up at 9:15. He apologized profusely for being late. He sat down the back of the room. He was there for 15 minutes. And then he came up to me and went, I'm really sorry, but I think I'm in the wrong room. And I said, that's okay. I said, where are you supposed to be? And I kid you not, he said, I'm supposed to be doing time management training. So I always like to make sure people are in the room before we start. Laura, if you're there, if I can ask you just to continue to admit people to the meeting as they come in.
Could you
so
please
as I said, say that
sorry,
again.
Could you please make me a co-host, because you forgot to.
Okay, you've gone from being a co-host, are you? Okay, just give me 1 second and I'll sort that. Yes.
Thank you so much.
I'm about to make Laura a co-host. I hope this is the correct Laura.
The only Laura that's not a co-host.
Right. Let me know if that's you.
Oh, no.
Yes.
My name is Laura Goch.
Where are you?
If not, it's okay.
Yeah, no, you are listed as a co-host there.
It's fine.
Yeah, no, you're sorted. Yeah. Okay. So, as I said, what are we going to do? We'll talk about what engagement is and what it isn't. I'm going to talk about the rules of engagement, what engages us, the four criteria for engaging from an employee perspective, and therefore from an engaging JCI or trying to attract people to JCI perspective. And we talk about the 4 C's as well. As I said, we're going to have a bit of fun while we're doing this. At the very, very end of this, if you have enjoyed it, if it has been fun, I would like to make an offer to JCI members, but we'll get to that when we come to the very, very end. Before we do, I'm going to make a request of everybody. I'm going to shut my screen down. And what I'm going to ask is if everybody would mind putting their video cameras on. For what we're going to do right now, you're going to need to have you're going to need to have some pen and paper. We're going to do a very, very quick exercise. I said at the start of this, during the brief when I was putting information together, and over the last couple of days when we were putting information out on social media, we're going to do the PIGS exercise. Now, before I tell you what the PIGS exercise is, for anybody who attended the JCI Belgrade webinar that I delivered about a month ago, please do not give the game away. That's all I would ask of you. So if you have pen and paper, this is what I would like you to do for me. As simple as this, please draw a pig. And when you've drawn it, hold it up to your screen so everybody can see your pig. First of all, to Kate, who sent me a message saying she's going to have to leave early to go because she has a vet's appointment. Are you bringing your pig to the vet? Is that what it is? Right, so everybody has drawn a pig. First of all, you weren't expecting that, but you're now totally engaged because you're curious as to what's actually going on with this. What we're going to do is we're going to park the pigs just for the moment. Leslie Fowler, I love the enthusiasm with which you have drawn your pig. And you're absolutely going to love this when we get to the end of it. We're going to park the pigs just for the moment. And when we get to the very end, I'm going to tell you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what the pig that you have drawn, what it actually says about you as a person. So we're going to have a bit of fun with that, folks. So we come back to here. So my question to you is, what is engagement? And before I tell you what engagement is, let me put up a definition of it. So engagement is the emotional commitment a person has to an organization and its goals. So part of what I'm going to do over the next while is I'm going to just challenge your thinking around JCI and how you approach JCI. And for those of you who are leaders, the impact that you potentially have as leaders and how that might be influencing some of the decisions or some of the outcomes that are coming from JCI, happening within JCI. What engagement isn't, and I want to get on with this out of the way first. What engagement isn't people, staff, members being happy. It's not just about people being happy. There are plenty of people who we work with that appear to be very happy every minute of the day, but actually they're not doing a huge amount of work. So they're not engaged in the process of work. There may be people that are very happy when they come to JCI, but actually they come to the meetings to do exactly what is asked of them during the meeting, but they never do anything more. And one of my experiences looking from the outside in at JCI for the last 7 or 8 years is that with most chapters, as with most organizations, there are a core of people who are very, very committed, who love the organization, want to see it succeed, want other people to succeed as well within it. And then you have a much larger group of people who come and do what they have to do and sometimes do the bare minimum. They love doing it and they enjoy it, but they're not prepared to make that commitment. The second thing that engagement isn't is satisfied people. Again, as I said, from a work perspective, you will have people who come into work at 9 in the morning, they're there till 5 in the evening, they love what they're doing, but they won't make any further commitment. So it's how you find ways to tap into, how you tap into getting people to make an emotional connection to your organization so that they'll be more committed to it. Vishnu Prasad, I'm delighted to hear you're still working on your pig. We'll come back to that in a moment. The rules of engagement. If you can increase commitment, let me get this right, folks. If you can increase commitment by 10%, you can get people to increase their effort by 6%. And if you can get them to increase their effort by 6%, you can increase their performance by 2%. So in theory, it doesn't seem like a huge amount that's required to get people to start making bigger contributions. And I say that because, as I said, so many of you are doing so many different jobs within JCI. Brilliant if we can spread that load just a little bit more. The 10-9 rule is, if you can increase somebody's commitment by 10%, you decrease their chances of leaving your organization or leaving your association by 9%. So if we can get people more committed, if we can get them interested in what's going on, what we're doing, if they can buy into the goals that we want to try and achieve, we give ourselves a much greater chance of actually holding on to people. For the record, and I appreciate that some of you will be taking notes while we're doing this, when this is done, I will send Laura full set of the slides, and I'm more than happy to take any questions off-site if anybody has them. Causes of lack of engagement. 70% of people who are asked what causes them to lack engagement put it down to their relationship with their boss. Many of you will be familiar with the phrase that says people don't leave companies, they leave bosses. So my question for you, for those of you who lead at a European level, for those of you who lead at a national level, for those of you who lead at a chapter level, is there anything that you're currently doing that might be causing people to leave? Or is there anything that you're currently not doing that might get people to stay? So how engaged are you is my question. And to find out, Laura, has my poll been put up?
Yes. Everything is there.
Okay. I have what, four questions? 4
questions, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to relaunch this poll. And ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to ask you to do is, I've created 4 questions that I would like you to consider. And those 4 questions are designed to just get you thinking about how you contribute to JCI, what JCI means to you, whether or not you would recommend JCI to other people. And it's just to get a sense of how people are feeling about it. There should have been...
This looks like the old poll.
It does look like the old poll.
This is not for this year.
So you have the second poll after that.
So where can I find the second poll? If you're co-hosting, can you bring up the poll?
So you made me co-host on my phone. If I can be co-host on my computer, or if Annalisa can see the poll.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you launch the poll, Annalisa? Or I could just launch, I could just get host for a second and then I'll give you host back.
Okay.
Is that all right?
That's fine with me. Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect.
As I said, ladies and gentlemen, all I want to do is just get you thinking about what JCI means. I think what happens very often for many of us is we get wrapped up in what we're doing, and sometimes we don't get the time to take a step back and just have a look at what's working, what isn't working, what could be improved, what could be changed. So I've seen that first question come up. So as I said, okay, so you should be able to log into the poll. You should be able to see 3 or 4 questions. And as you see, it's part of the answers are based upon the Likert scale. So the statement that's been made, do you strongly disagree with it, right through to do you strongly agree with it? And all you have to do is tick one box. And when you have that done, go to the next, the second, third, and fourth question. And then when you come back, we'll have a look at what it says. And it won't tell me who has given what answers. So the one thing that I would ask is that everybody offers an honest assessment of how they're feeling about the organization at this moment in time. I think it will help in it will help in guiding you to make some of the decisions you might need to make. So,
so this is the first question.
Yes.
There's 74 people replied. I'm gonna end this question and launch the second question.
Great,
and
please do. That'd be great.
Okay. Do you want me to share results?
Can we do the 4 questions first?
Yeah.
Okay. Just while you're doing that, I've had a question come in saying, could you repeat the 10-6-2 rule? So if you can increase commitment by 10%, you can generate a 6% increase in effort. And if you generate a 6% increase in effort, you can generate a 2% increase in performance. To the person who asked that question, you might just send a quick note in the chat box to confirm that that answers the question that you were looking for. I'm just looking at question 1. Would I recommend JCI to my friends? Thankfully, most people have gone, I would strongly agree with this and I would agree with this. Yes. Interesting that out of 100 people, 3 people have said no. that'd be worth discussing at some stage. Not necessarily today, but that would certainly be worth discussing at some stage.
Great. So
Okay, that's poll. That's
second-
question number 1. Question number 2.
I'm gonna wait 10 more seconds and then I'm gonna close the poll. We have 81 questions in, 82 answers. That's it.
Okay.
Perfect. You can see the polls, right?
Yes.
Perfect. And now we're going for the third question.
I have to say, while you're answering this, I always wonder about polls like this and the answers on the Likert scale. Do people, for the people who said, I strongly disagree, that means you're saying there are times when you think about leaving JCI to perhaps join a different organization. But is that what you intend? So I throw that out there.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. I know there's still a couple of people looking to answer, but let's see where we go. Go to the next one, please.
Perfect. Just give me a second. Great. And now the last one. Everyone is replying very fast to this question.
Yes, they're getting faster.
Yeah.
6 weeks ago, we wouldn't even have been able to find the poll, but now we've spent so much time on Zoom and some of these platforms, we can do them with our eyes closed.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I feel appreciated at JCI. 4 out of 100 people don't. 6 out of 100 people, actually 4 out of 100 people don't a lot. 6 out of 100 people don't. 15 out of 100 people are kind of, yeah. And then thankfully, what's left? 75% of people who've answered that poll feel appreciated by JCI and what it does for them and how it helps them and how people interact with them. Okay, so even that, very briefly, it just gives you a sense of the fact that while there are some people who've taken the time to join this conference, to sit in, give up time to come to these events today, there are aspects of what are happening in JCI that they may or may not be comfortable with. For me, there are 2 things in relation to what we're doing here. Apart from finding the information, it is also about, from a communication perspective, keeping you engaged during a session. And that's an important part. And even though I'm only going to make reference to it very, very briefly, one of the keys to engagement is to draw people into our conversations, whether that's on a one-to-one basis or on a bigger level. Okay, you got that? Giovanna, it's the wrong poll.
Sorry?
I think we have the right poll now.
I think I'm not sharing any poll at the moment.
Yeah, no, I know that. Yeah, okay, we're sorted. Yeah, no, that's grand. Okay, so look, all that does is it gives you a sense of the fact that while we have 100 and something people on this call today, and in theory, you would say everybody's engaged with JCI because they've taken the time to come here. There is an underlying current that a small percentage of people are experiencing things that would need to be, if this was a business, if this was an organization in that regard, would certainly need to be addressed, or there is a danger that people would consider leaving and moving on. Right, so that's our poll out of the way. Obviously, I went to a lot of trouble to find a poll before I could put it up on the screen. When it comes to engagement, there are 4 criteria. I'm going to put them up now, and then when I do, I'm going to put you into groups. And what I actually need to do is I'm going to share a link with you so that when you go into the group that I put you into, you'll have this link to be able to do a little bit of work on the link. I'm going to give you a Padlet that you can work with. But the 4 criteria, ladies and gentlemen: communication, growth, recognition, and trust. They are the 4 essential criteria if we're going to engage people. So what I would like to do is, as I said, I'm going to shut this down. I'm going to find a link, and I'm going to give you that link in the chat box. So when you go into the groups, I would ask you to make sure this link there it is there. I've just put it into the chat box now. And what I do is when I put you into this group, what you'll see is group 1 and group 2, I'm giving you the subject of communication. So the question that I'm going to ask you to ask and answer, and use the Padlet to capture your information, which means that in your group, somebody will have to act as the scribe, the person who's going to write down the answers. When you do that, your group, what I'm going to ask you to do for me is, I'm going to ask you to create a list of what represents good communication. What does it look like? What does it sound like? What do you need to be doing to make sure that people are engaged because of how you're communicating? That'll be group 1 and group 2. Group 3 and group 4, you're going to get growth. So for me, JCI is a wonderful organization for growth. But my question for you is twofold. What are the things that you're currently doing to help your members grow? And on top of that, what could you be doing to help them grow further? What are you not doing as an organization that perhaps could be considered to help members grow more? With group 5 and 6, you're getting recognition. And what I would ask you to do is list ways in which you can recognize people as a way of showing your appreciation for what they do within the organization. And what I would ask you to consider is come up with as big a list as possible. This could be as simple as a phone call that says thank you. But I want you to come up with as big a list as possible, because if you walk out of here today with that list, these will be things that you can do in your roles as leaders going forward that will make it easier for you to keep people engaged, or for you to engage with people. And then when we get to group 7 and 8, you're getting trust. And again, what I would ask you to do is come up with what you believe you can do that represents building trust, both for you as a person and with your colleagues within JCI. So that's what I'm asking you to do. With each group, somebody needs to have a scribe so you can write down all the information. Please capture the Padlet details so that you have that. You'll see group 1, group 2, etc. If you have any questions, there should be a help button so that you are able to. There should be sorry, hold on. You've created what, 12 breakout rooms? Many of you created? Oh, you've created millions of breakout rooms. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we have 29 breakout rooms.
You can manually assign breakout rooms if you like. So you can ignore those breakout rooms and assign automatically breakout rooms.
Okay, so I haven't done that before. So if you don't mind, you're co-hosting. I'd like 8 breakout rooms if that's possible, please.
Perfect. Just give me a second. 8 breakout rooms.
Great. So if I've now lost access to the breakout room, so if you can click on the breakout rooms, let people go into them automatically. And
just so we have 92 participants.
Yeah, 92 people. So it'll be about 12 people in each, which is fine. You've seen the Padlet come up in the chat box now?
Yeah,
Grand.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Hi.
Greetings. So we're room number 8. I suppose that's with trust.
Did anyone in this group receive a link?
Nope.
Only.
Yes, Alexandra. That would be trust.
Hi.
Yep, definitely. I see that we are commenting, but is there any way that Eric should, let's say, receive these comments? Or maybe should we ask for help? I see the help button.
I think the comments are being seen by everyone because that is the main chat.
Yeah, I invited Eric. I asked him for help, so maybe it
Perfect.
will go.
I think that's a good idea. How is everyone getting on? Are you enjoying the trainings?
Oh, it's a little bit intense for first day.
Too intense. Oh no.
That's the river dance, you know, and the Irish speaking. Wow.
Yeah,
that was way too fast. I honestly, I didn't quite enjoy that. I thought it would be much better.
Okay. We're actually going to play that again in the afternoon, so after the last session. So if you guys want to jump on it again and hopefully pick up a few more bits and pieces, but I'll take the feedback.
I think I stick with the Guinness if I'd rather to speak.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. So it's a bit, it's about trust, and if correct me if I'm mistaken, Okay, it said that Eric is helping another group. Okay, we will talk about trust and how we can maybe propose some hints or advices regarding trust in order to keep and encourage members to stay. As I heard that 25% from the previous poll felt like not really appreciated, and this is a hint to say that actually people maybe lack some trust. I don't know. What do you think?
I think trust is a really big one, not only in building relationships with members, but also doing what you say you're going to do, being really open and transparent in your communications and activities.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. And who is Huawei P20 Lite? Could you introduce yourself, please? Or unmute, maybe? Oh, okay, never mind. Ta-da, Eric is here.
Hello, breakout room 8. I believe you need help.
Yes.
In what way? How can I help?
We are asking about the, the link, Eric.
Yes.
Everyone, yeah, and the
So
Padlet. So
if you go into, before I put you into breakout rooms, I said there's the link. I've sent it, and I actually hadn't, but it has been sent now. So if you have a look, you should be able to click on it. And what I would suggest is probably using a phone rather than the actual laptop. But if you click on it now, the other groups have been able to find it and tap into that link. So it's there for you.
I still can't see the link, Eric. It could just be me being a daft Scot.
I
Katie
can't see it either.
Katie,
oh, hold on.
Now
it's arrived.
Eric to everyone. That was the one.
All right.
It's come here now. Yes.
Oh, we have it now.
Okay. So was that the only thing you needed help with? Finding the link?
And could you please remind us regarding the question? We know that we are room number 8. We will talk about trust.
You're going to talk about trust. So what I'm looking for, Ali, is what can you do to build trust? What's a good example of actions you can take to demonstrate trust? What are the type of things that will help you to build trust in the people you work with, the people that you associate with in JCI? If you happen to be the president of JCI Paris, what can you do to build trust among the other members of your chapter? So that's the question. What does demonstrating trust look like?
Okay, thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Any other questions before we go to one of the other rooms?
Eric, and somebody just needs to type out the words that we...
Whoever, I want you to type it out on the Padlet, because when you type it out on the Padlet, Giselle, then when we come out of the breakout rooms, we'll be able to go into the Padlet and we'll be able to see everybody's responses.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving to room 3 now.
Room 3.
Okay. Who will be the scribe, let's say? Who will type in the Padlet? Who will volunteer? Okay,
I'll
great.
Do it.
Giselle?
Yes, hi.
Okay, hi. So Giselle has to type in the Padlet. Okay, so the floor is yours, guys. Let's talk.
I would start with communication.
I agree. I agree regarding trust. It's very important to have, let's say, feedback for those who attended the feedback session before, and having feedback and communication could at least, let's say, help understand maybe some negative points or misunderstanding, and help ease, let's say, the tension maybe between people or between JC's members even. And
Yeah, I think that's important. And as I mentioned earlier, I think linked to communication is being open and transparent. So don't keep any secrets.
okay, I see accountability, walk to the talk, and open, transparent is.
Yeah, I've got those down.
Okay.
I would like to suggest that you take into account cooperation and delegation, because trust can be like on the personal level, but it can also be trust in your abilities. So if someone delegates something to you, they trust your abilities.
Mm-hmm. And how can we, let's say, make people trust us more, or make them come to trust us as an organization, for example, or as a president, or as a VP, or any responsibility, and even between members?
I guess we start by listening to them.
Great.
Then following through as well with what you promise.
Listening. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Melanie. Following through is a big thing too.
Please come again, Kushal.
Yeah.
Team building practice. Yeah, great one. By team building, you mean maybe making the environment more cheerful, not a lot protocol. How to say it? It's French. Not using a lot of protocols. Let's say that. But we're serious, yes. But we let people express themselves in a cheerful way.
Would you agree with building a more welcoming environment?
Yes, I think that's really nice, Giselle.
Yep. Okay.
I think there's also something in making it more of a, I guess, a democracy. So it's not like you have one person that makes all the decisions, but it's really a group effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
bearing the effort, bearing the efforts by equity, let's say.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand that. Sorry, could you repeat? I understood leadership, I think, at the first word.
Kushal, do you mean leading by example? That's to say, our leaders must give the examples by acts, not by let's say more blah blah blah, but by acts.
Yeah, not telling people what to do, more like leading
by example.
Example. Thank you, Katie. Yes.
Okay.
Being transparent, maybe.
Yeah.
Regarding things. And regarding sensitive things, maybe letting all people have access to informations and etc., etc., maybe in a more transparent way or an effective way, so it can avoid any misunderstanding or all negative thoughts.
Yeah, being fair and inclusive.
That's it.
Yeah, and just to follow on that, that everybody has a voice. So not just the same people are talking all the time, that everyone gets the opportunity to say their opinions. I think that's very important.
giving everyone a voice. 1 second, guys. Is not a redundancy with democracy?
No, I think they're one and the same thing.
I don't really, well, yes, I mean, there's always an overlap, but I think we can list both.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of these do tend to overlap, you know, I mean, it's,
Just
they're
making
all,
sure. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, Vanessa, Alma, Drazen, Alexandra, any comments?
Hello. Well, yeah, I think it's also important to show vulnerability as a leader, you know, like they don't perceive you as you know it all, but that you also may have flaws. Sometimes you don't know. So you are vulnerable and are able to demonstrate that vulnerability when engaging with the team members as well.
Yeah, I love that, Alma.
Yeah.
Maybe we try think about it slightly differently. What makes us as individuals trust people in JCI?
I suppose because we have the same mission and the same vision.
Yeah, yeah, we're
Very
kind of on
much
the same page, and we're striving, I suppose, for the same end goal, you know, or rather the larger goal, as it were.
Yeah, it's that like-minded thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Alexandra, I think I saw you pop up in the comments, but it disappeared. Maybe you could go on the microphone.
It says caring for your people and supporting them. That's the last thing I'm reading from her.
Yep. Oh.
I think there's something in really getting to know people and letting them get to know you as well.
Being open and honest, isn't it?
Yeah, and just a real person.
Yeah, that you're dealing with humans at the end of the day. I think that kind of links back to the vulnerability as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
You mean being real, not using a political, how to say, political count, like fun?
Yeah, and everything that comes into that as well. So not pretending to be somebody you're not, and not like sitting in a closed box, like making real friendships, getting to know people. I guess being one of the people.
Yeah, being authentic.
That's the word.
Yes.
So supporting and caring, meaning that we will put the interest of the member before the interest of anything else.
I guess within reason.
Yeah. That's to say, if you can develop, Melanie.
So I guess it depends on what the action plan that was outlined at the beginning of the year, what budgets are available, what's kind of, I guess, where the chapter wants to go during its year. That if maybe some members are suggesting things that might be out of reach, that you would not be able to do them. So it's about having that understanding between both parties and hopefully coming to a resolution that you can do what people are asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And then I guess that would also build on the way you speak to your team and them trusting you to know that the decisions that are being taken are for the good of the team.
Exactly.
So speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
Reason balanced with heart, let's say. So we have 50 seconds left. Any comments? How can we, let's say, gain trust?
I think linking back to the previous session, sorry.
Meaning including members and peoples, not being isolated. Was it Giselle? Did you write?
Which one? Sorry, we have inclusive.
Okay.
And I.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Some of the answers that people have come up with. And that should be everybody out. How do we get on? So group one, whoever was in group one, tell me what you wrote down. Tell me what came away as being most important to you.
Okay. We found quite a lot. So first of all, it's probably the most important to get right into the audience's hearts with simple, clear content, simple language, to speak the same language, of course, but also you need to be a good listener. That means not only communication is not only a one-way thing, but a two-way communication. So, like listening. And we thought it could be important if you're positive in a general way, to be encouraging. So consistency in communication is important. Not to talk in 1 hour that way and the other day another way. Maybe you could scroll down. I can't do that.
Hold on.
We have a long list.
Oh, you
Any
okay,
ideas?
okay, right. Well, hold on. Roland, you have a big long list. And
Yeah.
because you were first, you could get a chance to actually tell us everything that was on your list. And then per group 2 who had communication will be sitting looking at me going, Eric, he's left nothing left for us. So I'm not going to let you tell me anything else. I'm going to say thank you very much to you and your group. Who's in group 2? Just, and I don't want the whole lot. Just give me 2 or 3 of the most important things that you took away from what good communication looks like. Who was in group 2? Sorry, can I just say the irony? We're talking about communication and I'm asking group 2 to give me their list. I'm getting silence. But that's okay.
Keep it short and simple.
Everything that you have put down here is really, really good. There's 2 that I'd like to make reference to. In group 2, respond when contacted. I think that's a really important one. And what I mean by that is, we send an email today and we believe the person that we've sent to has seen it 5 minutes later, and we hear nothing back for an hour. And it's very possible for somebody who has sent the email to then start having a conversation in their head that goes along the lines of, they've seen the email, why are they not responding to me? What's going on? There must be something wrong. Why are they not responding to my email? And the reality is you might have been in a meeting or whatever. Here's what I would suggest. I think that you should have a respond rule. And what I mean by that is, for me, and I will admit I don't adhere to this, I don't get this right every single time, but I like to have a 4-hour rule. If somebody sends a message to me today at 3 o'clock, I want to have responded to that message by 7 o'clock this evening at the latest. And sometimes that response might be as simple as, I've seen the email, I'm not going to get a chance to have a look at it today. I'll have a response for you first thing on Monday morning. But that's enough for that person to know that it's been seen and it's being appreciated. The 2 groups mentioned listening, and I think that's crucially important, and we're going to have a chat about that in a moment. Smiling is essential, and particularly in this medium, because sometimes that's all we can see is the person's face. Being able to see a friendly face is hugely important. Group 3 and 4, you talked about growth. So you've listed again a huge number of things that you can do to demonstrate growth in action: giving feedback, mentoring, coaching, being transparent about the growth opportunities. Oh, I love that. Whoever wrote down volunteer, not voluntold. Oh, you absolutely win a prize for today, whatever that prize may be, but that is brilliant. But you're dead right. And as an organization, what happens is we do things, they work for us, but sometimes we just need to be able to take a step back and go, are there different ways that we could do it and make it a little bit smarter? Recognition. Big list of things that can be done there. I am not going to rattle them off. The second group on recognition, again, big list of what can be done, plenty of things to do there. When I send through my slides, you'll see with my slides, it's primarily images and a small number of words. When I send them through, I will add in some of the details. So I'll give you my list of recognition. I'll add in some of the other information that's not actually visible at the moment. Trust. So transparent, accountable, active listening, and listening is mentioned in both groups. So there's a huge amount there. Delivering what you say you're going to deliver, fulfilling your commitment. So you get it, you know what's required. And the question I suppose we all have to ask ourselves on occasions is, are we actually doing what we say we're doing? So that's the challenge. Now, most of the groups mentioned listening. And for me, I think listening is an essential skill when it comes to how we engage people, because people like to feel listened to. And Ronald, you were in group 1, you feel listened to because you got a chance to express your point of view. the people in group 2, 3, 4, right up to 7 and 8, who might have been getting ready to say what they wanted to say and had something specific they wanted to add, might now be going, thanks, Eric. We didn't get a chance to say what we wanted to say. And that's my fault because I'm conscious of time and I want to try and get the balance right. But it does demonstrate that there's a stronger connection when people feel listened to. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, that most of us are not as good at listening as we think we are. So what we're going to do right now is an exercise in listening. For those of you who were in JCI Belgrade's webinar a month ago, you're not allowed to give the game away. So we're going to play the listening game, and we have 100 and something people on this, and everybody has to take their microphones off mute in a moment when I tell you to do so. But as a group, what we are going to do is we're going to count from 1 to 20. But only one, I'll start with 1. And then one of the 100 of all of you has to say 2, and somebody else says 3, and somebody else says 4. When you get to 5, you can't say 5. You actually have to clap with your hands. Somebody says 6, somebody says 7, somebody different says 8. When you get to 15, the person who does 15 has to make a noise like a pig. Told you we'd have some fun here today. And then we're going to get to 17, 18, 19, and 20 the whole way through. Here's the thing. There is no strategy allowed in this. And every time more than one person says the same number, we go right back to the very start. So let's see how good you are, JCI, and let's see how alive you are and awake you are at this time in the on a Friday afternoon. So, as I said, please take your microphones off mute. Still a few microphones that are not off mute. They're coming off mute gradually now. Hold on, something's come in the chat. Can you repeat, please? So we're going to count from 1 to 20. When you get to number 5, somebody has to clap their hands. When you get to 15, somebody has to make a noise like a pig. If more than one person says the same number at the same time, we go back to the start. And we're going to see how long it takes us to get from 1 to 20 without interruption. And there can't be any strategies. In Belgrade, Claudia from Switzerland, who many of you will know, she was there going, no, you do number 3, I'll do number 4. You can't do any of that. So you're clear about what I'd like you to do. This is going to go horribly wrong, I can tell, but I will start. Let's see how we get on. 1,
2, 3,
4. That's 4 people at least. 1,
2,
3, 4.
Hang on, we've had 2 3s again. 3 is the popular number. 1,
2, 3,
5,
4. Sorry, hang on. Who? What came after 3 that time? Somebody say 5? I don't know what he said, but it's wrong as far as I'm concerned. 1,
2, 3, 4.
4.
5.
Hang on. We've had at least 5 4s that time. 1,
2.
hang on. We didn't get to 2 that time. 1,
2, 3, 4.
Doesn't work. Hang on. First of all, whoever tried to do the 3 of them in one go, I appreciate your enthusiasm and endeavor, but somebody else got there before you. 1,
2.
Oh, come on. 1,
2.
3,
1,
2,
3.
Oh, we're so close. 1,
2.
Sorry, can I just say before we continue, this is not portraying JCI in a particularly good light. We've got to 3 and then we keep going back to the start. Kate, you even got a chance to clap and we hadn't got to 5 at that stage. 1,
2,
1,
2,
3,
4.
Oh, so close. 1,
2,
2,
3,
hang on. 1,
2,
3,
3,
1,
2,
3,
3,
4.
Oh, no, hang on. There was a clap and we heard it, and then Catherine Laffey went and clapped as well, and I appreciate it. But you clap. 1,
2,
3,
4.
1,
2,
3,
I give up.
4,
1,
2,
1,
2,
2.
Okay, hang on. We are going to carry on with this just a fraction longer. I do not want to be able to turn around and say that the cream of the crop in Europe and JCI couldn't get past 5. Hear me out for a second. Ultimately, what's happening now is you're starting to listen much more carefully to try and anticipate what's been said and what's coming next, so you can interject what you need to say. So it's just about slowing this down a lot more. But if you can get into a habit of slowing it down, it makes it much easier to listen to what the other person is saying. That's the theory. You are, of course, going to screw that up on me now, but here goes. 1,
2,
3,
4.
Oh! But the first 2 and 3 were really good. 1,
2, 3,
4.
Oh, yeah.
1,
2.
3,
4.
5.
Sorry, who said 5? Somebody said 5.
Who did that?
Who said 5? And we had 6 claps.
I was clapping for 5.
Yes, but somebody said 5. I know. Suman, you've been clapping for 5 all the time. It's been brilliant.
Yeah.
You've even clapped for 5 when we were still on 2, 3, and 4. We're going to try this just a couple more times, and then if we do not get past 5, I am telling the whole world on social media how bad you are at doing this. 1,
2, 3,
4.
6,
7,
sorry, 8, 9,
10,
11.
It was much better, but still not good enough. 1.
2, 3.
Hang on. First of all, we've had 2 2s. We're going one more time. Can I at least get you to 15 so we can hear somebody do the pig noise? That's what I'm looking for.
I'm getting warm up for that.
I'll wait for the pig.
1,
3,
3,
1,
2,
3,
4.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to get so much mileage out of this. I really am.
but we passed until 10.
We got
DCI
as far
arrived
as
10.
Can I just say, we got as far as 10, and even at that, it was a dubious 10. It really was. I suspect it was at least one of the numbers that had been mentioned by more than one person. We will try one last time, a chance to redeem yourselves. 1,
2,
Nhưng mà thành lập cái number.
There is a lot of noise if someone could mute.
Where does that come from?
I think it's the celebration song.
Right, we're going to do this one last time, and then we're going to move on. 1,
2. 3.
3.
No!
Oh my God.
Right. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Can I afford one question?
But you know, and we're having a bit of a laugh. One of the great things about an exercise like that is the only thing you're doing is listening, and it's crucially important in engaging with people. I would say this very, very quickly. There are 3 ways that we listen. The first is called passive listening. And passive listening is in essence where we're waiting for the other person to stop talking so that we can jump in and say what we want to say. The second type of listening is called active listening. Active listening is where we're listening to the other person because we believe there is something we will benefit from hearing. We're listening because we believe we're going to benefit from it. The third type of listening is what's called empathetic listening. And the best way I would describe empathetic listening is if you had a friend who picked up the phone to you and said, "Can I come over and have a chat? Something's after happening." And they come over and you open up a bottle of wine and you just sit there and you listen to them pour their heart out, and all you do is be there for them. You might ask the odd question to gather a little bit of information, but the only benefit of the conversation is in helping that person to say what needs to be said or to express what needs to be said. In an ideal world, that's where we should spend our time listening. The reality is listening is a difficult exercise. It is an exercise that requires a huge amount of effort and concentration, and therefore we spend most of our time in passive listening. Even if once a day we could get to a point where we could find time to just listen to a person rather than want to say what we have to say, it would go a long way towards having us be seen as better communicators. It would go a long way towards helping us to build trust, and would go a long way towards having that other person feel like they're being listened to and therefore feel more engaged in the process. Right, what comes next? The 4 C's of engagement. Okay, so very, very quickly. The first C is caring. If people are going to engage with you, they have to know or feel that you care about them. And if people are going to engage, it's because they care. I deliberately put this Okay, hold on. I deliberately put this picture up at the very, very beginning just to provoke a little bit of thought and draw you into this. Obviously, what's been going on over the last couple of weeks globally at this stage has captured the world's attention. But for me, the reason it's so prominent is because people care about what should be right. They care about doing right. They care about making
çıkabiliriz yani böyle işte.
The second C, right, I'll come to that in a moment. So again, you have the chat box, and you've been very, very good with the chat box a few minutes ago. So what I'm going to ask you to do is very, very quickly, that white item that the dog is capturing in its mouth, please write down what that is. In the chat box, please describe that. What is it? Away you go. Sorry, it's not a UFO, but I do appreciate the enthusiasm with which somebody is actually doing that. Okay, that's great, brilliant. Thank you very much. The next item. What is that? Please write that down in the chat box. Garbage. Yes, yes, Suman. It is a photo, but you're not getting any marks for calling it a photo. No, it's not herbs. Boom, boom, plastic. That's a good one. Right. The next one. What is this? You have to look at that one a little bit more closely before the information starts. Okay, so we've had a lot of people give me answers on that. It's not a bandage. No idea how is in English. That's okay. Might be part of sneakers. Technically, you could be correct. No, Mark Smith, it is not licorice. Right. So here's the thing. For the people who said that the first image was a frisbee, will you do me a favor? Actually, let me enjoy this moment. For those of you who said the first image was a frisbee, please go to the reactions button and give me a thumbs up. Quite a few thumbs up coming through there. Brilliant. Guess what? You're wrong. It wasn't. For the people who said the second image was bubble wrap, please give me a thumbs up. Oh, more people said it was bubble wrap and they're saying with real enthusiasm. And guess what? You're wrong. It wasn't bubble wrap. And for the third one, for the people who said it was both Velcro or licorice, Mark Smith, please give me a thumbs up. Guess what? You're wrong. There was a moment there, Kate, where I was thinking you either got the three of these right or you just weren't taking part at all. I wasn't sure which. Everybody thinks that's a frisbee, but actually frisbee, bubble wrap and Velcro are actual brand names. And there are only certain companies that are allowed to use them. It's just that over time, we've got used to recognizing them or knowing them as or by those terms. But that is officially, and it's not a UFO, as somebody said, its official title is a flying disc. So I think you can understand why people wanted to call it something a little bit more inventive than that. The middle one, which was not a herb, a photograph, or bubble wrap, is actually officially called air bubble packaging. So yeah, I'm not surprised we decided to shorten that one as well. And then the third one, which is not Velcro, and to this day, I still can't understand how somebody came up with the title of this one, but this is officially hook and loop fasteners. How does that engage you? The reason you're engaged right now, apart from having the act of taking the action and writing down the answer and the act of giving me the thumbs up, is because I told you that the information that you had given me was incorrect, that it was wrong. I'm now challenging a belief, challenging a piece of information, challenging that you believed to be true. And that's one of the ways in which we are engaged. I don't know about anybody else here, but for me on social media, and in particular on Twitter, I spend quite an amount of my time looking at the opinions of people whose opinions are different to mine. And sometimes I'm looking at them so that I can respond. Sometimes I'm looking at them because I don't understand why people have that opinion. But it's the conflict between my opinion and their opinion. And that leads to challenge. And one of the ways in which we can engage people is by disrupting their point of view, is by disrupting what they believe or how they approach things. Now, if you thought we were in trouble when it came to the listening exercise. If you thought we were in trouble with the bubble wrap, we're about to get into big trouble now. In a moment, I'm going to put up a slide and you're going to see an image. And you're going to see one word on the slide. We forget about that word for the moment, but you're going to see a person. When you see this person, what I would like you to do for me is this. I would like you to write in the chat box the first word that comes to mind. Don't think about it, just write down the first word that comes to mind. I will say this, please bear in mind that everybody's going to be able to see the word you write down. But will you write down the first word that comes to mind when you think of that person? Nobody writing down anything at the moment? Are people in a position to write something down in the chat box? Party man. Small hands. Oompa loompa. Can I just say for the record, I did this as an exercise with a group one day, and we're going to do the same exercise now in a moment. And some of the answers that I got were very, very strange. Right, there's a load of stuff going in there. Okay, and in fairness, there's a lot of information gone down there. Thank you for keeping it as polite as some of you had, in spite of what you might have really liked to have written down. I'm very grateful to you. I'm going to put you back into the 8 breakout rooms. The majority of you, with respect, the majority of you probably what you've said is not a compliment to the man, the majority of people. So what we're going to do, very, very quick exercise. When you go back into the 8 breakout rooms, you have 5 minutes. Again, you need somebody to act as the scribe. We're not doing this in Padlet, so just if you have pen and paper, somebody write it down. But when you go back into the breakout room, what I want you to do is you have to list the qualities of this man. You cannot go for the negative. You have to look for the positive. And what will happen is when you go into the breakout room, there'll be a minute and some of you go, I can't think of anything positive about this guy. This guy has a load of qualities, regardless of whether you like him or you like his politics. The challenge is finding them and recognizing them. Crucially important in terms of being able to deal with people and to engage with people. So we're going back into the breakout rooms. 5 minutes. What are the qualities of this person?
I'm guessing that Giselle is writing.
Yes.
Yeah. And next could be like clear priorities. You know what is the priority? Clear priorities.
Clear priorities, okay.
Yeah.
Is a clearly
And-
manager.
Yeah, yeah. And also, all the financial things. So he have very clear financial understanding.
I'm not sure about that. He almost bankrupt once.
But he's the very.
He had not because of the help of the state, not because of his
But only we
knowledge.
should think the positive thing, Darzan.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying he's not good in that. But he is good to surround himself with the people who knows what they are doing.
Confidence.
Yeah, I've got that.
Yeah.
Also, I think he's very outspoken. He's not afraid. He's fearless and outspoken. Whatever he thinks, he just says it.
Yeah. True. Patriotism. He loves the country.
He will really fight for what he believes is right.
So how many? I mean, you wrote, Gilshree?
11.
Okay.
I have 11 points.
So can you please again read it so we can understand? Yeah.
So he's a decision maker, he has confidence, leadership abilities, vision, a deal maker, clear priorities. He's a good manager, surrounds himself with the people he needs. He's fearless and outspoken, he's patriotic, and he fights for his beliefs.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Gilshree. Perfect. Lavin. So any more?
It's
So
very
I know-
explicit. He's very explicit. I mean by that he's direct. He get to the point, straight to the point.
Straightforward.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
Straightforward. Yeah, he doesn't lose time. If he doesn't like you, he will say it to you directly. He will not use any political language. So he will be straight.
Yeah. He's also a family man. I mean, he takes care of his...
A lot of things he takes care. Yeah.
What?
He takes care a lot of things. Yeah.
He's very bad with family, I guess.
Yeah.
He's
Family.
bad or he's good? I didn't get that.
Good. He's a family man. That's good. And besides that, sense of humor. You have very good sense of humor. What do you think?
It's very subjective. It depends
if you
who is
like
on the
his
other
humor.
side of the joke.
if you like his kind of humor, yeah, maybe. Regarding family man, I don't think that Melania would agree with you.
Yeah, but I think I mean,
She
if
doesn't
you
smile.
Well, no, that's true. She doesn't smile at all. But
yeah.
His first two kids definitely smile, and I think he's taking good care of them. It might be only financially, but he's still there for them, I suppose, in some way or other.
Mm-hmm.
He's resilient, so he's gone bankrupt several times, but he's still in charge of America.
Regarding leadership, what do you mean by leadership?
I don't know who said it. I just wrote down.
Okay, because for me, leadership, Donald Trump, when I compare to Obama, hi there, whoever you are.
Hello. I think with leadership, he was still chosen to be the leader. and whether you agree with the way he leads or not, he is still ultimately what they call the leader of the free world.
Because for me, a leader that you agree to follow him. For me,
Yeah,
it's more than manager than a leader for me. And people will follow him because they fear him, not because...
No, a lot of people follow him because they truly believe in him. I mean, if you see some interviews, some people are just like almost in love with him, you know. So
Yeah.
I will definitely vote for Trump again at the next election, no doubt about it.
And he was elected ultimately, you know, not imposed by anyone. Yeah.
We'll see about that.
So now we are going back to the breakout room.
Also, just a quick reminder, 30 minutes left for the session.
Yes, yeah, we're going to finish. We're going to finish within time. You'll have a little bit of time. I'm going to finish it a little bit early, Laura, so that you have that little bit of breathing space.
Thank you so much.
And also because nearly every other training session I've done has gone over time ever so slightly. This was one I wasn't going to go over time with. So here we go. Again, we're going to start with group one, which was Roland's group, but it does not have to be Roland. What I would like your group to do for me is give me 3 or 4 of the qualities that you came up with to describe Donald Trump. So from group one, who's going to be the voice of group one? And whoever it's going to be, will you unmute yourself? Anybody from group one? Laura, if I go over time, this is going to be group one's fault at this stage. You won't have anything to do with me. Group one, yes? Okay.
I don't think you have to press allow participants to unmute.
Okay, so look, hang on a second.
Yeah, I was able to unmute now. I've been trying to unmute and couldn't do it. So we had that he commands followers. He's ambitious. He can be a bit aggressive. There's 3. Fearless.
Okay, well, fearless we take. Aggressive, do we see that as a positive?
I'm thinking about, I suppose, maybe not positive, then we'll go for ambitious.
Ambitious. You gave me ambitious twice. We can't have.
Oh, right, okay.
Give me another one.
Confident.
Confident. He's absolutely confident. You know, the phrase we use here about water off a duck's back, nothing seems to phase him in his pursuit of what he's trying to do going forward. So certainly what you've described, absolute qualities that you would want in people, and he has them regardless of whether we like him or not. Group 2, what qualities did you come up with for this man?
I'll just say something because I was actually taking notes. So and I have to leave just now as well. So we also said he was confident and he's courageous. He's innovative and he's definitely out of the box. He has good relationships, at least with his family and his daughter. He's a good businessman and probably a good manager. He is persistent in what he does. And somebody actually said he has a nice hairstyle. He's probably in favor of modern communication. At least he uses different channels of modern communication. And he's in favor of working for his own country, so putting his own country in first position.
Okay, Kate, sorry, I'm going to crush you. That's a really good list, and I'm going to leave it at the moment, so we're going to leave something for the other groups as well. The best of luck at the vets. I hope the pig will be okay. Thank you very much. Interesting what you said there about, what was it you said about, somebody said he has good hair. Whoever actually said he has good hair, given the person that is currently delivering this particular masterclass, can I just say thank you? Appreciate that one. Yeah, thank you very much. Group 3, tell me what you came up with, please.
So Julia speaking for the group 3.
Hello,
The top
Julia.
3 would be self-confidence because he doesn't care, he shows his own opinions. He's patriot, so he makes his interest of USA before the others. And someone will be his non-conformist because he doesn't care what the other says, and he believes in his principles.
He believes in his principles. Yeah, he absolutely does. And Kate, to go back to when you said, one of the things he was very, very good at was recognizing that to get his message out, he needed to find what was a different medium that had been used at that level of politics before, because the mainstream media were not going to support him. So he deserves credit for being innovative about that. Group 4, what did you come up with, please? It's like the Eurovision at the moment. Hello, Group 4. Can we have your voting, please?
Yes, so I can go for Group 4.
Yes.
We pretty much all of the things that we also noted down already came up. So like confidence and being ballsy and using social media to get very actively to get his message out.
Sorry, did you say being ballsy?
Well, very bold.
But yeah, no, and ballsy works very,
I
very
think
good. Yes.
ballsy is
Yes.
actually the word I yeah.
No, happy with that. As I said, I'm very grateful for words that were not used in the chat box when I asked you to describe him in one word. So we're more than comfortable with ballsy, and he is. To push forward against the tsunami that's coming in the opposite direction, you've got to have a boldness to your approach. So yeah, really good. Number 5, what did you come up with?
We had, again, similar to what everyone else has said, but we had thick-skinned, powerful, good at making money, and also the ability to talk about failure as a success. It's quite poignant.
What I would suggest, Laird, is the great ability that he has is not letting those failures stop him from moving forward.
Yeah.
By contrast, every single one of us has at some stage been faced with a roadblock, if you want to call it that, and possibly turned back from that roadblock. He seems just to push through them and keep pushing through them every single time. Brilliant. Group 6, what did you come up with?
He's fearless.
Thank you, Kate. Sorry, Julie, just one second. Kate, are there any other members of your club or your chapter here at this event?
That's a very good question. I have no idea. I'd have to check and see.
All right, do me a favor. Check with me on social media, and when we do, I'll tell you what your pig says about you. Okay? Couple of very good things that I've noticed, but that's a different conversation. I'll tell you what your pig means. Julia, I apologize. Tell me what your group came up with, please.
He's fearless.
Mm-hmm.
He has very clear priorities.
Yes.
And he always believes he's right. And he doesn't care what others think. And he can make himself heard.
You know, for every single one of us, I do a lot of speaking at a lot of different events. And one of the things that a woman who runs a speaker bureau said, it's one thing to have the expertise, it's one thing to be able to deliver it, but she said, what we need are, she said, personalities, people who can make themselves heard so that they're easier to sell in that context. But he's the very, very same, being able to make himself heard, particularly to his base. Outside of the breakout rooms, one of the things that Kira Kyo said was that he's very, very clear about who his audience is. And as you just made reference to, Julia, he knows how to make himself heard to that audience so that they believe him, they buy into him, they trust the message that he's sharing. Excellent, thank you. Number 7, tell me what you come up with. Group 7.
Hi. So we came up with business-oriented and created his own empire. He's very focused on his goals and his ways. He has a winner mentality, and he also has the money to invest in what he wants to do.
Yes. And again, all really good qualities. You know, if we weren't talking about this particular person, these are all qualities you would look for in somebody that you might want to invest with, somebody that you might want to have part of your team, somebody that you might want to have as part of your organization. Excellent. That was number 6. Number 7.
No, we were number 7.
You were 7. Number 8. We did the best wine till last. Number 8.
Hi, so 12 points goes to Ireland from Malta.
Thank you very much.
Just remember this for next year.
Yes.
Reciprocating.
Yes.
So we came up with, he is a deal maker, a decision maker. He's resilient, very straightforward in his speech. And then there was one that we had a bit of discussion about, that he's also a family man.
Yes.
Amongst others that have been mentioned already.
Yes. And the family man is an interesting one. I mean, I think one of the qualities that he has, and I'll phrase it that way, is the quality of loyalty. He's loyal to people who are loyal to him. And I think that's why the issue of family crops up and people have two opposing views on him. But I think he is very loyal to the members of his family who are very loyal to him. And I certainly think that if it came down to it and you asked him who he could rely on above everybody else, the chances are that one of his sons and his daughter would probably be the first 2 people that he would look to in that regard. So yes, and let's be honest about it, for all of us, we would want or hope or believe that we could say the very same thing, that if we were in a really tight situation, that family would be the people that we could rely on. I mean, let's be honest about it, given that we've all been cooked up at home for the last 2 months, nearly 3 months, we need to be getting on with family in many cases, or else there's going to be an awful lot of divorces when we come out the far side of this lockdown. That was 8. That was everybody. Really, really well done. Yes, Samantha, maybe not his wife. I would agree with that. That's a different conversation. Right, come back to here for one moment. We have roughly about officially 18 minutes. We're going to get this done a little bit quicker than that. So one thing I would like to talk about very, very briefly is when it comes to how we communicate, and particularly how we engage with people, I have a formula for communication, and it is this: C equals W plus I or. Communication equals words plus internal reactions. In my opinion, everybody focuses on the words when they look to communicate. What we should be focused on is generating the right internal reaction. If you want to engage people, it's about generating that internal reaction. It's about making people feel. It's about making them feel important. It's about making them feel valued. It's about making them feel recognized. It's about making them feel that they are capable and that we trust them, and that will lead to them trusting us and equally lead to them feeling engaged. So how do you increase the internal reaction? And that comes down to looking at the words you're going to say and getting clear about why you're saying them. Too often we use words for the sake of using words. We don't use them for the sake of generating the right type of reaction. And that's important because, and just indulge me one moment, that is important because when it comes to how we communicate, what people don't always see is what I call the internal reaction quadrant. So that's what this is here. These 4 boxes represent how we react to internal reaction, how we react to what people say to us. And the reaction can be a positive reaction, or our reaction can be a negative reaction. But on top of that, as the person who communicates, as the person who asks the question, or the person who makes the statement, to the people who are saying they have to leave, that's great, thank you very much. Caring, challenging, contradiction. Competition is the fourth one. To the person who's asked the question, I missed one of the C's. I haven't got to the fourth C yet. We'll get there in a moment. The thing about generating internal reactions, whether they are positive or negative, is that sometimes they are known and sometimes they are unknown. There will be times when you will say something to somebody and you know that they're going to walk away thinking, oh, that's brilliant, I really like that. And it'll have a positive reaction in that person, and you will know that you've generated a positive reaction. It's going up to, it's the people who attend this conference who are going to turn around to Derek and Ronan and Laura and the rest of the team and thank them when it's done. And even though it may not mean a huge amount to you, it'll mean something to them. But in theory, you know you're going to generate a positive reaction. Sometimes you will generate a negative reaction, and you'll know that as well, because you have to break bad news to somebody. Somebody wants to do something, they want you to do something, and you're not able to do it. And you've very good reasons for not doing it. You know, in a work context, it's somebody looking for a pay rise and the organization can't afford it. You know it's going to generate a negative reaction. But actually, it's okay on occasions to generate negative reactions because that's what's required. The key is to know the reaction that you're going to generate. Sometimes we generate unknown positive reactions. There will be times we will say something to somebody that it means very, very little to us, but will mean a huge amount to the other person. And it could be as simple as somebody saying, thank you. Really appreciate the work that you did on that project last week. It means very little to you saying it, but it means a huge amount to that person. And then there is the fourth one, the unknown negatives. There are times when the reaction that we generate in other people is a negative one and we're not aware of it. We don't even know that a decision that we've made has been badly received. We don't know that. I'll give you a very, very good example. I used to work for a company in England many, many years ago, and I still keep in touch with a couple of the people over there. And about 2 months before Christmas, I got in touch with one of my ex-colleagues and I said, how are you? And she turned around and she said, forgive me, she said, Eric, I'm pissed off. I'm really annoyed. And I said, what's wrong with you? And she said, they gave me a pay rise. And like many of you, my first reaction was, well, what's bad about that? And then she said to me, she said, Eric, she said, the pay rise they gave me wouldn't buy me an extra drink every week, wouldn't buy me a glass of wine every week. That's how small it was. Her boss, if you asked him, would think that he had generated a known positive reaction. He would absolutely believe, I've given this person a pay rise, they have to be happy with that. They're happy about it, I know they're happy about it. What her boss doesn't know is that not only is it a negative reaction, but that person is currently on the lookout for a new job because of what happened with that pay rise. The amount of work that she's done, or the extra work that she's done, is such that she had convinced herself that if she was going to get a pay rise, it would be a bigger pay rise. The pay rise she got means very little to her, and therefore she's negative about the whole situation. So it's about how do you communicate with people and fully understand the reaction that you get. And one of the ways to do that, when you've presented information, ask a question to seek clarification. And I appreciate that every time you do that, you may not always get an honest response. But if you do look for clarification, you'll get a better chance of knowing the internal reaction that has been generated, and that will allow you to make better informed decisions, and that will allow you to engage people more effectively. One of the things that was mentioned by group one, by Ronald's group, when you were talking about communication, what communication looks like, is consistency. And what I would like to share with you very, very briefly is this. For those of you who do know me, you know that I deliver a training session on presentations called Persuade on Purpose. JCI Edinburgh have seen it, JCI Manchester have seen it, JCI Malta, JCI Croatia, JCI Serbia have seen it. And I put this line into a slide when I'm talking about presentations. Start your presentation is here, the left-hand side, the finish is the right-hand side. And the challenge we have is to get to the end of the presentation and have the audience come on the journey with us. But the same principle applies when you're working with somebody or where somebody is in an organization with you. Ability as a leader is, how do you bring them along that journey with you from start to finish and keep them engaged throughout? And for me, it means building in deliberate engagement techniques. In a presentation, that might be asking questions, it might be getting your audience to do something, it might be generating a little bit of humor, it might be telling stories, it might be, if you take what we've done for the last nearly couple of hours at this stage, it might be the poll, it might be the breakout rooms, it might be the chat, it might be the information coming back, but it's constantly about how do we keep people engaged throughout. The very same thing applies when people come into your organization or when they're members of your organization and you want them to be engaged. Find ways. These red lines represent points in the relationship, points in the conversation, points in the length of time they're in your organization, when you find ways to keep them engaged. And given the amount of activities that you have within your organization, there is so much you can do to keep people engaged. In my opinion, it's about taking a little bit of time just to think about it and consider how you can engage people who may not appear engaged at certain times in your organization. So that's my internal engagement ratio. We are 8 minutes away. Laura is starting to look at me through squinted eyes going, you better finish on time, Eric. So let me ask you, oh, sorry, I have to do the pig first. So great. We do the pig first, then I'm going to make you the offer, and then I'm going to wrap up. So this is all going to take no more than about 6 minutes, 7 minutes at most. We'll be finished in a minute. So will you do me a favor, everybody? Please take your pig again and put it up to the screen. I have to tell you what your pig says about you. Leslie Fowler, you're going to absolutely love this. Right. So if you're looking at your pig, when you drew your pig, if your pig was facing to the left, that means that you are forward thinking and you are always looking for new things, new ideas. If your pig was looking in the opposite direction, looking to the right, it means that you are set in your ways and you are slow to change. In fairness, the majority of people that I'm looking at do look like they are forward thinking. That's brilliant. If your pig's face is facing straight out of the page, it means that you are direct, you are to the point, and you don't suffer fools lightly. If your pig has big ears, you are a good listener. If your pig has 4 legs, it means you are steady, you are trustworthy, and you are reliable. If your pig only has 2 legs, you're not as trustworthy or as reliable. You're not as balanced an individual. There's one pig, is it Aurelian? Two legs. Not sure I can trust you right now. If you have a huge amount of detail in your pig, it means that you don't trust other people and you feel you have to do the work yourself, or else the work won't be done to the standard you'd like it done at. If you have very little detail in your pig, that means you just couldn't be bothered doing the exercise. And the last one, and the one that's going to capture everybody's attention, and I really wish you'd actually been in the same room for this. The longer the tail you have drawn on your pig, the happier you are with your sex life. So now people are starting to look at the length of their tails. Just a little bit of fun, a little way of just getting close to wrapping the whole thing up. Sorry, can I just say very, very quickly, I did this in JCI Belgrade about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, whatever it was. And there was a husband and wife there. And as far as I know, I don't know if Anya's on this call right now, but as far as I know, they both drew different length tails. I'm really hoping there aren't a married couple on this call right now. That's all I'm saying. Don't want to get anybody into trouble. Do not want anybody getting divorced. So we're nearly there, folks. We have literally 2 or 3 minutes left. Let me ask you a question, and I'm going to ask for the reactions button. Have you enjoyed what we've done so far?
It was brilliant, Eric. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Melanie, you're very, very welcome. We are nearly there. As it is anonymous, and that's great. I was wondering if we can get the results of the 4 questions poll asked at the beginning of the session. Laura, there's no reason why we can't share the information from the poll. Sure we can't? You take yourself off mute for 1 second. No, do me a favor, don't bring it up just now because we're very tight on time.
Okay.
But when we're done, it says share results. If you can find a way to share it with people, I think that'll be a very valuable exercise if you don't mind.
I have the screenshot for all the results.
Okay. So you've enjoyed it. You found it useful. We've learned a couple of things along the way. Is that fair to say? And please don't tell me the one thing you've learned is who's drawn long tails on the pigs. That's not what we're looking for right now. So you've learned something. Have I earned the right to make you this offer? Yes? Somebody say yes.
Yes.
Okay. So as I mentioned earlier on, I have delivered my Persuade and Purpose training to different JCI organizations here in Ireland, most of the chapters, a couple of the chapters across in the UK, and I've been lucky enough to be invited to Malta, to Croatia, to Serbia, and there's a couple of, and I hope to be do more traveling in the not terribly distant future when we can travel again. I always deliver a version of Persuade on Purpose. One of the things that the lockdown has done is that it's finally given me an opportunity to take the content from the book and turn it into an online program. Now, right now it's a work in progress. I've recorded all the content and now it's all got to be edited and made look pretty and all of that. But what I wanted to do for JCI was make you a pre-order offer, as it were. It is the online course. It'll take you from where you start beginning presentations right through, and it will give you the techniques to be able to captivate and engage audiences, bring clarity to a message, keep people engaged, all the things that you would want to do. And in some cases, maybe doing already, but it'll give you a chance to do it more strongly. The price of this course at the basic level, when it's ready, will be €195. I am making it available to JCI from now until the end of June for €50, if people would like access to it. The link is there if you want to. If for any reason you don't catch the link, you can go to my ARC Speaking and Training website and you'll be able to find it there. I got involved with JCI for the very first time about 7 or 8 years ago. I think it's an incredible organization. I made a commitment that I would help in different ways when I can. Being here today for the 2 hours is absolutely one of those ways. Making this offer to you is another way. From my perspective, because I'm looking at the fact that it's 1:09, can I just say to everybody, we are done. I thank you so much for your time, for your contributions, for taking part. I am absolutely going to have so much fun telling the world you couldn't count beyond 5 when it came to the listening exercise. But other than that, It's been a blast for the last 2 hours. And I wish everybody a great conference for the next 7 days. And I hope to be able to sit in on a couple of them over the next while. Ladies and gentlemen, because of the time, we are done. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Eric. I think everyone can say that was absolutely brilliant and really engaging, particularly the counting. I think a lot of us will remember that for a time to come. From us here at the team, we're going to just have a little quick break because I think we all need a bit of a stretch and a movement after that. And we'll join you for the next session. So thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye,
everybody.
Eric. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. It was brilliant.
Thank you, Eric.
It was
Thank
great.
you,
Thank you.
everyone. Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I love the competitive